Maryland basketball could surprise Illinois.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys all for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in the playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. You guys have to head over to FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Maryland basketball has a ranked matchup tonight against Illinois, meaning we're playing a pretty good Illinois team that I think is a top 25 team in the country, and the rankings would agree, and I think a lot of people would agree. The 11th ranked Fighting Illini is what they call them, and a team that is, don't get me wrong, way better than we are in a lot of different ways, more complete than we are, deeper than we are, do a lot, basically everything better than us. But Maryland basketball, don't forget, we're coming off our first Big Ten win of the season against a Penn State team that is probably the worst team in conference. When Illinois played Penn State, they won 73-65. We beat them by 20. Obviously, I'm not trying to make a apples to orange comparison, but I'm just saying we're playing a team in Illinois that is definitely really good right now. Just to give you guys some context, I'm sure a lot of you guys have a basic idea already, but this team's definitely a top team in the country. But right now, the Fighting Illini, 15-3 overall, fifth in the Big Ten, and in a competitive year in the Big Ten. We saw UCLA beat Purdue yesterday, which I thought was pretty cool to be able to see. But they're 6-1 in the Big Ten, so they're winning a lot of Big Ten games. They were pretty good last year as well, but a lot of people think they have a better team this year, and I think I would agree with that. And obviously, Maryland's big underdogs against this Illinois team that is definitely good. And like I said, definitely better than us. All of their losses so far this year, honestly, have been to pretty good teams. Like they lost to UConn, who's arguably the best team in the country. They lost to Bama, who's also a top team in the country. And then they also lost to Nebraska, who's having a really awesome year. The Nebraska basketball team's having a surprise here. Nobody thought they were as good as they are, and nobody thinks they're still like necessarily super talented, but they're getting it done. But this is a big game for Maryland basketball. If you remember a couple years ago, I compare this year's team to the team a couple years ago because we're kind of similar in terms of not really having a ton of offensive talent, not having a ton of guys that can score the ball, and just not being very good, to keep it short and simple. And under Kevin Willard, we traveled to Illinois a couple years ago, and we beat them. And it was our worst team. It was one of the worst teams that we've kind of had in a while, and we were able to travel to Illinois when they were ranked, I think, 6th in the country, and we were able to upset them. 76-67 in that game. Julian Reese had 20 points. Jameer Young had 28 points. Dante Scott had 9. Jordan Geronimo had 9. If you guys remember some of those names, Deshaun Harris-Smith had 5. So interesting game for sure. Different type of team Maryland basketball had then than they do now. But I do think this year there's a chance for Maryland to surprise Illinois. I don't think beat and losing by 9 points, honestly, I'll talk about the spread later, would still be kind of a surprise if we don't get absolutely crushed by Illinois. And I think there's an opportunity there. I think Maryland has a little momentum coming off of Penn State. I think that's one of the reasons why. I don't want to solely be like, oh, we beat Penn State, now we're a good team. Like, I'm not saying that. But there is something to be said for figuring out how to win a game, being hot. We also didn't play that game too long ago. Like, we played that game only a couple days ago on Sunday. And I think Maryland's going to have the chance to rebound from that game and potentially have another pretty high level game against this Illinois team. And playing good against Illinois. We probably still wouldn't win. We're going to have to play great, but they played great against Penn State. And I don't want to say we started to figure things out, but I think we're starting to get things moving and the pieces are starting to connect a little bit in terms of the offensive side of the ball, where hopefully we can score enough points to even be in the conversation with Illinois. But I do think that's one of the ways that we could surprise them, is just a pure momentum game. I also think we could definitely catch Illinois by surprise. You already know they don't think we're that good. And I know their coach probably telling them, don't underestimate this Maryland team. They're better than you think, whatever. But to me, we can catch them by surprise. And that's what we did a couple years ago in games like this. Illinois is not too worried about us. They've had a good year. And all of a sudden, you're in a dogfight against a Maryland team that's not as talented as you, but you just underestimated them. I think that's a possibility there. But talking more about personnel kind of thing and where Illinois is at, they lost one of their best players for it's like a month or something like that, with some kind of something's broken, like a broken hand. The kid Kylan Boswell, who's been on the team, and he's been a regular starter. He's been really good. Averages 14.3 points, 3.4 assists per game. Like he's one of their best player, second on the team in points at 14 a game, but he's out. And so that matters, right? Like I would like to think that matters. I would like to think that means something when you take away a 14 point per game type of guy out of the conversation. I think that means something, and it gives Maryland an opportunity to potentially step up there and do something against this Illinois team. So I think that matters. I don't want to act like that's nothing. Like I think that's 100% something. And so losing him, I think, is a loss. Like it's definitely somewhat of a loss for them, who's kind of their old guy leader, who's been around a while, has been playing basketball a while. Like that means something, I think. So he's out. And so I think that gives Maryland a better opportunity to win. And then from Maryland's perspective, the way Diggy Coit has been playing, National Player of the Week, the way he's been playing, the way Coit has been playing, if he stays hot, and I know Illinois is probably going to hyper focus on him, it's going to be hard for him to continue to score buckets and to continue to do things like that. But if he stays hot, and if he has one of those games where I can't be like, it's still kind of absurd to me to think like he might drop 30 tonight, but that's where we are with a kid like Diggy Coit. Like he might drop 30 tonight. Like that's entirely possible. And if he does that, then I'll have to look side to side and be like, dang, like that kid's legit. But also, you would think if he shoots the ball really effectively like he's been, and if he continues his hot streak, it can keep Maryland in the game. And it's kind of what I've been talking about. Diggy Coit might shoot us out of games, or he might shoot us in games. Like I think that's entirely possible for Maryland basketball, the guard Diggy to be able to do. He might shoot us in game, he might shoot us out of games, and I'm okay with that because I don't know if we have a lot more offense than that. But I do think he's a reason why he could surprise them. And I know that they're kind of preparing for him and they know Diggy's game pretty well by now. And I know they're probably not going to underestimate him as much as maybe other teams have, but he's a tough shot maker. And I think he's an opportunity there. So we'll have to see what happens, but it's supposed to be a blowout. Do I think it will stay close? I don't know, but I do think there's a world, and I do think Maryland has the pieces where they're starting to figure things out. The Lego pieces are starting to connect. The puzzle pieces are starting to come together. Whatever analogy you want to use, it's starting to get figured out in a sense where I think they could do this thing, and I think they have a chance. We'll see what ends up happening. I like their chances. I think they have, or I don't like their chances, but I like their chances not to get blown out. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later when we talk about the spread and different things like that. I want to move on to football. I want to talk about Maryland's secondary, where I think they can be good, where I think they're young, but I do think that room has a chance to be pretty good next year. We'll talk about my thoughts on that after this. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel's giving all customers even more ways to get on the action every single game day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. And here's what I love about it: you get to use profit boosts on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with your favorite when you think a team controls the matchup. Take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset coming, or build a parlay around the player or moments you think decide the game. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. There's so many different things to bet on FanDuel right now, whether you're a college basketball fan, whether you're an NHL fan, an NBA fan. There's so many different things, and the NFL playoffs are finishing up as well, and FanDuel's the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. So I wanted to talk about Maryland's secondary, which I do think has a chance to kind of get back to being kind of the signature part of Maryland's team. I know the defensive line right now, I would say, is our best position group, and our linebacker room's really good as well, I would say, defensively. But I do think there's a chance that this secondary also is honestly really good. Like, I'm excited about this defense. I've talked about the defensive line, dudes up front, a bunch of dudes, a bunch of guys that are going to be really good players. Obviously, Sidney Stewart, Zahir, Zion Ely coming in. D.D. Holmes hopefully can make another step if he stays. Some of the interior guys we're excited about, whether it's Bryce Jenkins, Ian Thomas coming back, or a couple guys we got in the portal, Levon Johnson. But the linebacker room as well, I won't get into too many names, but you guys know Trey Reddick, of course, the young guy, Carlton Smith, Daniel Wingate. Like, we're excited about the defense, and the secondary has probably been the biggest question mark, but I still feel pretty good about it. To be completely honest, I still feel like it can be a pretty good room, even with losing guys like Kevin Humes, Lakai Rowland, and losing a guy like Braden Lee. I still have trust in this secondary where I feel pretty good about it. We'll start from the top down, from the safety room. I think there's three guys that are going to play in that safety room. Probably depends. I think Messiah Dell Holmes, arguably the most talented, the four-star talent in that room. But we also have two guys that are really experienced now, and Le'Veon Scruggs, who had a good year last year, was one of our better guys on the defensive side of the ball. And then also Gavin Edwards played a lot of football last year. He just announced he's coming back. So that's three players that you feel pretty good about in the safety room about playing. And you only get, and only two are probably going to, I don't know how they'll end up shaking that out. I think it'll probably be Messiah and Le'Veon Scruggs. I think that's an awesome duo. And then Gavin Edwards could play. I can see one of those guys playing a little bit of nickelback. I don't know. It depends probably on the matchups and things like that. But to start there, I feel really good about it. I think Le'Veon Scruggs is a really solid safety in the Big Ten. I don't think he's like elite Big Ten safety or an elite safety in college football, but he's good. He's dang good. Experienced, has attributes, tackles, and can cover too a little bit. I think he's a solid Big Ten safety. And you move on to the other side, and Messiah Del Home, I think he's the talent to be one of the better guys in the Big Ten. Maybe not next year, but 2 years down the road. And I think he'll make some flashes, and he did so last year as well, especially on special teams, where we're looking at him a couple of years from now, we're like, he's our best defensive player. I think that's entirely possible. And Gavin Edwards is just okay. Like, he's solid, like good depth piece to have 100%. So I'm excited about when you start with the safety room. I think that's pretty complete. I think you got starters. We haven't brought in anybody. I don't necessarily think we need to. Like, I feel good about where that safety room is, and I feel good about the talent, the combination of youth and experience, youth that is really talented, four-star type of guys, and then experienced guys that have been there, weren't as highly recruited, but have played a lot of football at this point, is an awesome combo, I think, to have. And I feel confident that safety room can be pretty good. Hopefully get back to the days of Dante Trader and Bo Braid running around, both guys that are in the NFL doing their thing and making money. And so you hope that it can get there. I think the cornerback room is when it gets a little bit more finicky, but even with me saying that, I'm still like, I feel pretty confident in it. And I don't know if I'm wrong. to say this. I don't know if I should be more concerned, but it's like, okay, you get Jamar Glasgow just announced he's coming back. I am assuming that Dante Joyner is coming back. I haven't seen an announcement for him, but those are two guys that potentially could be two starters and good players. Jamar Glasgow had a good year. Dante Joyner, like those are two solid starters that you feel pretty good about. You lose Kevin Humes going to BC. You lose Braden Lee going to Arkansas. And you lose Lakai Rowland, I think, going to Arkansas as well. But in comes the transfer portal and this kid, Amari Jackson. Now, I want to hold the phone on that kid a little bit because he's had a lot of injury kind of concerns over his time at BC. But when he plays, he's been a good player. Like he's played and started since he's been a freshman. So you know the talent's there for him to be starting at a place like BC since he's been pretty young. That you know the talent's there, but you just don't know if he's going to be able to stay on the field. You hope he can, but it's still a concern. I'm not going to act like it's not, but I do think that's a pretty good trio to start. And then you have young guys. So like I said, Jaden Ships the other day is a guy that could surprise a lot of people. He has talent to be one of the better guys. I think in the future for Maryland football, I think he's an eventual starter as well. And so that's four guys right there that I feel pretty good about playing for Maryland football in the secondary. And so when I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, okay, the linebacker room really experienced. The defensive line is starting to come together in a lot of different ways as well. And then I want to be like, it's like, okay, the secondary should be the weakness, but it's not that weak. It's honestly like pretty good. And it's a pretty solid group where I'm searching for kind of the weakness on our defense. And I'm not trying to sit here and say this. Like when I say weakness, like I'm used to Maryland Maryland football having like real holes, like really like there's position groups where you're like, dang, like that position group doesn't look good. Like right now, the offensive line's probably a big hole. The receiver room, like I would argue, is probably a hole on the offensive side of the ball. And last year, the defensive tackle position, there was players, but none of them really played to the level. We bring in two guys, we get a couple guys back that were good, and I don't really feel like that's a hole. And so that's what I kind of mean. I'm not saying that we're going to be like an Oregon defense or an Ohio State defense or Indiana defense, who was really good this year. Congrats to them on winning the national championship, a Big Ten team, proving that you can do it in different ways. But I do feel as if this Maryland defense is good. Like I feel like there's not a ton of holes for it to get to be like a middle of the pack defense in the Big Ten, maybe upper echelon, maybe you can get to top 6, but that's how I feel. And let me know where you guys think the holes are. But I was like, okay, the secondary is probably the holes, but when you start talking through it, it doesn't really feel like it. It doesn't. And so I'm excited to see what that group can do on defense. There's a ton of talent on it. We'll see if they can figure it out. But there's a lot there for Maryland football on the defense side of the ball to be able to do some different things. So we'll see what ends up happening. I think there's a lot there, but I'm excited to see what they can accomplish. Let's talk about Maryland basketball spread against Illinois. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's what we're kind of used to at this point. We'll talk about that next. Let's talk about the spread for Maryland basketball against Illinois. So the spread is 19.5. And I'm going to start by saying this. I gave Buzz kind of like the free year, like whatever. Like it's a rebuilding year. We lost everybody on our roster. We went from being the 4th seed in March Madness to being a team that can barely win a Big Ten game. Like it makes sense when you lose every single person on your roster. The transfer portal's good, but it ain't good enough to be able to replenish a whole thing unless like you have like for a team like Maryland, like it wasn't going to be good enough to be able to do that. And this year's been bad. And I'm giving Buzz Williams the excuse. I'm letting him go this year. But let me tell you something. These 19.18 spreads, these 19-point spreads, these 17, these 15-point spreads, they can never happen again under the Buzz Williams era. It just can't. I can never look at a book or look at something and look at the lines of the game and seeing people's predictions and being, yeah, Maryland's predicted to lose the game by about 18 or 19 points. That can never happen again. It's honestly just embarrassing to where our team's at. And I know you're not supposed to look at things like that, but as a person that talks about it, or I know the team isn't, but as a person that talks about it, people care about that stuff. And those lines do mean something. Like these aren't like, it's not like I'm making the lines and I'm just coming up with something. Like it's pretty accurate when they make those things. Like the people lose a lot of money trying to be sharp and act like they know what's going to happen. And Vegas always wins long term. And so you look at it and you're like, a 19-point spread. I know we're on the road. I know we haven't been good, but man, like it's just kind of like, dang, like it feels disrespectful. And so to me, looking at something like that, I'm just like, that can't happen again. It just can't under the Buzz Williams era. I think he has a chance to be good for Maryland basketball. I think we can figure things out next year. We got a really good recruiting class coming in, but man, a 19-point, 20-point spread, and people probably are half the people probably picking Illinois to win the game. Like that's like Maryland's like that's like Maryland playing like Mount St. Mary's or something like that. Like if there's a spread like that, and so I just think it's a little bit kind of ridiculous this year, but I'm giving it a pass, so I won't harp on it too much, but it's something that has to be fixed. It can't be something that happens next year. It just can't be. It absolutely can't. And so he's going to have to get that thing figured out. He's going to have to right the ship because a 19-point spread, it just means you're awful. It means you're awful. I feel like it's been like that a lot. Like even against teams that aren't good, I'm looking at it, I'm like, dang, we're 12-point underdogs against this team. It's been like that a lot. And now the other side of it, a 19-point spread does seem like a bit much against this Illinois team that I think Maryland, we're not going to win the game. Like I highly doubt we win this game on the road unless Illinois does something dumb. Like who knows? Way crazier things have certainly happened, but I'm not going to sit here and be like Maryland's going to win this game. Like that's not really what I see happening. That's not how I see the chips falling, but I do think there's an opportunity for Maryland basketball to be able to cover the spread and to play with some heart and some passion. And they've done that this year. I'll give that to them. But I think they'll cover the spread. And like I talked about earlier, I think we could surprise Illinois. We're kind of catching our groove a little bit. We looked much better against the Penn State team. We're supposed to beat by like a couple of points. We ended up beating by what, like 20, 23, something like that. So you look at it and I'm like, okay. You look at this 19-point spread. I hope they're disrespected. You go on the road. You have a little bit of momentum. Midweek game, not an easy travel schedule. But I think there's a chance that we keep it, or I think there's a good chance that we keep it closer. And I like Maryland to cover. I think we've put in effort all year in terms of I've never seen this team like not put in effort or not be going full speed. And that's what I can appreciate. And that's kind of the identity under Buzz Williams. And that is what I'm happy with. I haven't seen a team that's just given up. That's just done. That's just handing it up or hanging it up and just like, oh, well, this year's done. What can we do? Or guys being too selfish, like anything like that, or guys complaining too much. I'm seeing a team that is working on all cylinders to be pretty good. Obviously, that's not the case, and we don't have that kind of talent. But I think our effort and hopefully Diggy Coit, Darius Adams, Elijah Sanders, those three guys, Solomon Washington, those four guys, I think are good basketball players, and they can keep us in this game and keep it somewhat close. Where I think Maryland will lose closer to maybe 12, 13 points instead of 19 points. I kind of can see that happening. I can see Maryland's had half where they've been solid in the first half and then kind of the game gets away from the second half. I can see that happening, or kind of the opposite. We come out slow, but somehow in the second half we're able to do a little bit of work and keep it close. And if we shoot the ball well, you never know what can happen. You never know. I know we haven't been a good shooting team all year, but if you shoot the ball well, you can stay in some of these games. And that's the beauty of basketball. Is football is just like you can't, there's just ways, like the talent, you just can't make up for it. But in basketball, there's ways to make up for it. And so I can see us keeping it close. I can see us making it work, but we'll have to see exactly what ends up happening. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.